Now, is it also true or correct that the word CMS stands for consecutive matching striations? CMS stands for consecutive matching striations.
Manje uCMS lona kuyiqiniso ukuthi umele can you please repeat that?
Consecutive matching striations.
Umele consecutive matching striations.
That's correct. It's consecutive matching striations, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Wathi yebo kunjalo.
So you familiar with this concept?
Bathi ukuthi hayi yazi lento esikhuluma ngayo.
That's correct, madam.
Thank you.
Yebo kunjalo.
Now, these are some of the concepts which you got when you attended that Bruce Moran and George Murdoch lecture in 2002, not so?
Wathi ukuyeke nakufunda
Amongst others.
ukuthi kuliko kunyeke yiko lokho enanikufunda kufundiswa uBruce Moran noJohn Murdoch.
Amongst others, yes, madam.
Wathi yebo kokunye.
Thank you. Now, you tested, you fired some test bullets, and on those that you fired as test bullet, you went on to work to compare bullet number 5 and 9 with the same bullet, not so?
Wathi ke utule inhlamvu eningana wase uthatha ke number 5 no number 9 wawuhlala nale enye inhlamvu.
Madam, I compared all the bullets that I fired with the exhibit bullet.
Wathi hayi ngizamile uqhathanisa zonke inhlamvu engazidubula nale ntambi yombukisa ngayithona.
So you're saying you compared all the, how many tests did you fire again, test bullets?
8 test bullets.
Thank you.
Wathi hayi ngithule inhlamvu ezishiyagalombili engangizama ukutesta ngazo.
And you compared those 8 test bullets with the same bullet.
That's correct.
Wathi uhlole zonke lezi inhlamvu isiqhathanisa nale yatholakala endaweni yesigameko wathi yebo.
Then of those 8 bullets, you then proceeded. Then why did you mention in your affidavit that you only work on bullet number 5 and 9 and not mention all of them?
Manje ke yini indaba ke uthe wena usebenzise ngenhlamvu number 5 no number 9 kuphela uwazihlola zonke.
Madam, in my affidavit, there's no way I've mentioned only bullet number 5 and bullet number 9.
Yeah,
I've compared all bullets with the exhibit bullet. The only thing that I did when preparing a court chart, I used bullet number 5 and bullet number 9.
Okay.
Hayi ngizange ngisho lutho ngokuthi ngihlole ngisebenzise bullet number 7 bullet number 5 no number 9 kuphela ku affidavit. Ngithe ngihlole zonke inhlamvu kodwa ke uma sengizokwenza umbiko ngisebenzise bullet number 5 no number 9.
Why did you specifically prefer bullet number 5 and number 9?
Yini kokwenza ukuthi ukhethe number 5 no number 9?
Well, those are the bullets that I could see a letter marking that can be produced on my court chart. That's why I use those for two.
Ilezi inhlamvu ke engibone kuzona kunezimpawu ezibonakalayo engakwazi ukuthi ngisifake kwi-chart yami engayiletha la enkantolo.
So are you then telling this court that the other bullets which you fired that you also examined could not give you better marking, although they were fired from the same firearm?
Manje ngizomchaza ukuthi ke nanoma ke zithuthule isibhamu esisodwa lezi ezinye inhlamvu ezingenazo izimpawu ezibonakala kahle.
Well, there were markings on all the bullets, but I prefer to use bullet number 5 and bullet number 9 because of their markings.
Zonke inhlamvu zasinazo izimpawu kodwa ke mina ngakhetha ukuthi ngizosebenzisa number 5 no number 9 izona engaziqoka.
Did you at any stage say, try to compare or compared the bullet amongst themselves? Did you compare bullet number 5 to bullet number 3? Test bullet number 5 to test bullet number 3.
Manje ngokwenzayo yena ukuthi uhlole inhlamvu le number 3 uyihlole uyiqhathanisa no number 5.
Well, I compared all the bullets with the exhibit. Comparing the test will not help with anything because I know those are the known match. Those are the tests that I have fired in the firearm.
Wathi hayi zonke bengiqhathanisa nenhlamvu eyathola esigamekweni ngoba bengayekuzizela ukuthi ngiziqhathanise zona zodwa ngoba zonke bezizokuthetha.
But now the bullet that you ultimately used to prepare the court chart, which is bullet number 5 and bullet number 9, actually gave you better marks, not so?
That's correct.
Wagcina kusebenzisa bullet number 5 no number 9 ukuthi wenze ama-chart akho athi yebo.
Thank you. Now you request Lieutenant Colonel Surero to override your work, not so?
Manje ke waseke ucela uColonel Silero ukuthi naye ubeze umsebenzi wakho.
was only for the mic work verification. It's confirmation of my work, mic work. If he agrees with me on my findings.
Ngangifuna ukuqinisekisa umsebenzi engangwenzile ukuthi ngithole ukuthi yena uyavumelana yini naloko nomphumela engawuthola la.
I'm sorry, maybe I used the wrong term, override. I actually should have used term to confirm. Confirmation, I'm sorry about it. But nonetheless, you understood what I was saying. And then in a confirmation of your test, Lieutenant Colonel Surero then uses bullet number 4 and bullet number 8, not so?
Ngemsebenzini wakhe ke uSerero yena wasebenzisa number 4 no number 8 angjani.
But I gave him all the tests, and he used all the tests. And the marks that he could find, or maybe that he could maybe identify properly, it was bullet number 8 and bullet number 4 and bullet number 8.
Ngamnika zonke inhlamvu ukuthi azihlole kodwa ke nawe wakhetha ukuthi uzosebenzisa number 4 no number 8.
That is exactly what I'm saying. In his affidavit, he says, in his section 212 affidavit, he says, I use test bullet number 4 and bullet number 8 to confirm the tests that were done by Lieutenant Colonel Mngena. That is exactly what he says.
Bakushoyo kwa-affidavit yakhe engaphansi section 212 uthi yena wasebenzisa le nhlamvu number 4 no number 8 uqinisekisa umphumela owawuthola wena.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
Thank you. You also wouldn't tell the court whether, you don't know whether did it make any endeavors to compare that bullet number 8 and bullet number 4 to those test bullets that you came and prepared on the court shot here at court, not so. That is bullet number 5 and 9.
Kusho ukuthi yona wazini ukuthi wazisebenzisa bullet number 4 number 8 wasiqhathanisa nalezi wena wawusebenzisa bullet number 5 no number 9.
My lord, I don't know if he compared those bullets first, but he compared all the tests probably with the exhibit that I gave him. Because the purpose was to compare the bullet, to confirm the microscopic work that I did, that the exhibit bullet is positive with the test bullet.
Mina ngazi ke noma wazama yini ukuqhathanisa lezi inhlamvu engangizigqokile mina ukuthi ngizisebenzise nalezi yena ezigqokile kodwa engazi ukuthi ngamnika zonke inhlamvu ukuthi azihlole ukuthi ziyahambelana yini nale nhlamvu le yatholakala endaweni yesigameko.
Now, would you agree with me that you said you fired the FMJs and you also fired the FMS bullets because the FMJ did not give you it did not, I'm sorry. Just a second, man. I think I did not switch my phone off. Now, you said you fired the FMJs, that's so the full metal jackets, not so, amongst others.
Wathi wena kwezinye izinhlamvu wazidubula lezi eziwuhlobo le-FMJ anginjani?
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
And do you know what type of a bullet was bullet number 8?
Manje ke inhlamvu ke leyo number 8 uyazi yini ukuthi kwakuyiluphi uhlobo?
Bullet number 8 was FMJ.
Le bullet number 8 kwakuwuthi lolu hlobo le-FMJ.
And that is the bullet that Surero worked on, not so.
That's correct, my lord.
Yile nhlamvu le uSerero senzela kuyona wathi yebo.
Now, how do you explain this rationale? That you had to fire the CMJs in order to get better markings, and yet Mr. Surero uses the FMJ to compare your tests. I mean, to affirm your tests, to confirm your tests.
Manje uchaza kanjani ke lokho ukuthi wena uthi wadubela ama-CMJ ukuthi uzothola impawu ezibonakala ngcono, and then uSerero yena wasebenzisa u-FMJ ukuthi athole wawasebenzisa u-FMJ ukuthi athole indlela yokuthi aqinisekise umsebenzi wawenza.
My lord, the first two FMJ bullets that I have compared with SD were the tests which were fired by Warrant Officer Rudolphs. I could not get the match on this, but could see the similarities. That's why I decided to shoot more tests using the correct ammunition. And within those correct ammunition, there's CMJs. I also used the two FMJs I compared. Not that the two FMJs that I fired didn't have marks, they had marks.
Into engaqala ngasebenzisa ilezi ezazi engaqala ngasihlola lezi ezidutshulwe u-Warrant Officer Rudolphs. Emva kwalokho-ke ngase ngisebenzisa-ke ezinye iy'nhlamvu dubule ezinye iy'nhlamvu ngoba ngangifuna ukuthi ngithole phela ukuthi kukhona yini iy'mpawu ezikwaziyo ukubonakala ezinye-ke zazo ey'mbili zayizilolu hlobo lwe-FMJ.
No, I don't understand, but can you also understand what I'm saying? Maybe let me put it in a different way. You say you had to fire the CMJ because they were made of a softer material. Therefore, the transfer of the marks into the test bullet was easier compared to the FMJ, not so?
manje uthwena wadubulala labo CMJ lezinhlamvu ezohlobo le-CMJ ngoba uthi zona wawukwazi ukuthi impawu zibonakale kangcono kuzona ngoba ke kusho ukuthi ke impawu lezi eziphuma ezibhamini zidlulisekela kangcono kulolu hlobo le-CMJ akunjalo.
My lord, not that there were no marks on those FMJs, or the marks will differ. Marks will not differ. It's just that when you shoot the test on this firearm, because of the condition of the firearm, as I said, it does not transfer those marks properly to all the exhibits. In some of the tests, you can see the marks that you cannot see on the others. Even on those FMJs, there were marks that were visible on the FMJs, but on those, on the CMJs, you could not see them clearly. So not necessarily that I couldn't see anything on the FM. I could see the marks also on the FMJs.
Yebo lapha ku-FMJ bengikwazi ukuzibona lezi mpawu kodwa bezingacacile kangcono yiko nje bekufanele kudutshulela eze-CMJ ngoba bese ngishilo ukuthi isibhamu lesi sasesigugile and impawu zazingadluliseki kalula zidlulisekela-ke ey'nhlamvini.
Now you are also confirming that the firearm was old and the barrel was abused. It could not transfer proper marks onto certain types of bullet. That is what you're saying.
Uthi-ke uyavumelana nami ukuthi isibhamu sasesisidala futhi nomphopho waso-ke wawusugugile ungasakwazi ukudlulisela iy'mpawu kalula ey'nhlamvini.
And it could not transfer marks clearly but it could transfer marks, and it's possible to match some of the marks that were transferred to the bullet by the firearm.
Ngishoyo ukuthi iy'mpawu lezi ezazidlulisekela-ke ey'nhlamvini zazingacacile kahle kodwa ukusho lo ukuthi kwakungenalutho oluwuphawu lesi sibhamu esasilidlulisela ey'nhlamvini.
Thank you. Now back to my initial question, that which I surmise you did not understand. Sirero, you're saying bullet number 8, which was used by Sirero to confirm your work, was the FMJ, not so?
Inhlamvu leyo number 8 esetshenziswa uSirero kwakuwuhlobo le-FMJ akunjalo?
That's correct.
Yebo kunjani?
Yourself, the bullets that you used to prepare the court shot, those two bullets, that is now bullet number 5 and 9, were CMJs, not so?
So inhlamvu owazisebenzisa kona ukuthi wenze amashot ayokwaletha la enkantolo inhlamvu number 5 number 9 zombili lezi inhlamvu kwakwama-CMJ akunjalo?
My lord, I will repeat again.
Can you please answer the ask?
I'm asking the question.
Not
I've answered
so.
this question and I'm asking.
CMJ, I'm not saying repeat anything. I'm simply asking you, the bullets, the test bullets which you yourself have used in order to prepare the court's charts with CMJs, not so?
Ngithi-ke mina inhlamvu wazisebenzisa ukuthi ulungise ama-charge okwaletha la enkantolo uhlobo le-CMJ akunjalo?
That's correct, my lord. There's
Thank
two
you.
test bullets that I have prepared to use for the court chart were the two CMJs.
Yebo kunjalo ukuthi lezi nhlamvu endile engangigqoke ukuthi ngizisebenzise ukwenza ama-charge kwakwama-CMJ.
Thank you. Now, Sirero comes and confirm your tests that are based on the FMJs. I mean your tests which are based on CMJs when he has used the FMJs. Do you understand that?
Na uyafika usebenzisa ama-FMJ ukuthi aqinisekise umsebenzi wakho wena wawusebenzise kuwona ama-CMJ.
Do you understand it?
My lord, the FMJs, I could make them positive, but I did not use them for court chart.
Yebo bengingakwazi ukuthi ngisebenzise lezo inhlamvu ezama-CMJ kodwa ngizange ngizisebenzise ukwenza ama-shot asenkantolo.
But then why? Because Rulofs also used FMJs. Why didn't you continue to use these FMJs?
Manje yini ngingazange ngiqhubeke ngisebenzisa wona ama-FMJ ngoba nangu noRulofs wasebenzisa ama-FMJ.
My lord, I've mentioned this. The FMJs which were shot by Rulofs did not have proper marks. That's why I had to shoot my own test. And within my test, I've also fired the FMJs, of which on my FMJs, I could see the markings.
Bese ngishilo ukuthi la ma-FMJ ayedutshule uRulofs ayengenazo impawu ezicacile kahle yikho ngithe mina angidubule ezami iy'nhlamvu and futhi kulezi engazidubula ngichazile ukuthi nama-FMJ ayekhona.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, you said you understand the concept of CMS, consecutive matching trial, not so?
That's correct, my lord.
Uthe uyazwisisa lento ye-CMS consecutive matching strata but yeah.
Now, in a test exhibit, In what region of the test bullet will we find these striations?
Manje ke kule inhlamvu le yasesigamekweni le migqa le ukhuluma ngayo uyitholakala.
In what? Can you rephrase the question?
In what region of the test bullet will we find, or would the expert normally find striations?
Manje ke le migqa le kuthiwa ama striation atholakala phi kule inhlamvu le yasesigamekweni?
On the grooves.
Bathi ke la kukhona imisele khona.
Thank you. You're also familiar with the concept of same relative area or position, not so?
Can you please repeat that?
You're also familiar with the concept of same relative position within the context of ballistic analysis, not so?
Same relative position.
Same relative position. I'm asking him if he is familiar with that concept as it
Ngifuna
is
ukwazi
used
ukuthi
in the context of ballistic
kukhona ke
analysis.
lento ebizwa ngokuthi same relative position kusho ukuthi ke indawo efanayo etholakala endaweni eyodwa.
That's correct.
Wathi yebo kunjani?
Thank you. Now, in a practical application of this concept, maybe before I get there, is this also one of the concepts that you got when you attended the seminar or the training by Bruce Moore and John Maddock?
Wathi okunye kwakufunda ngesikhathi ufundiswa uBruce Moore noJohn Maddock.
That's correct.
Wathi yebo kunjani?
Thank you. Now, how would you define the concept of same relative position
Manje
as
ke
it
lento
relates to ballistic analysis?
manje ke ungayichazeni ke inhlamvu lena ke lento ekuthiwa same relative position yona ungayichaza kanjani?
My lord, when you're speaking of the same relative position, I mean, on both items, it must be on the same position.
Yes.
If you're looking at 1 o'clock on your exhibit, it must be 1 o'clock on your test. If you're rotating your exhibit or your exhibit and test, you rotate them simultaneously to look on the same relative positions. You're not moving one and then you move the other one, or you don't move the other. Both items must be on the same position and you move them simultaneously. Then you are on the same relative position.
Makhona same relative position kusho ukuthi ke imigqa le etholakalayo ke la enhlamveni ifanele itholakale endaweni efanayo kuzo zombili inhlamvu. Kusho ukuthi nanoma ke uziguqula ke lezi inhlamvu lezi fanele ziguqule ngesikhathi esisodwa ukuze kutholakale ukuthi endaweni ethize yatholakala yini impawu ezifanayo.
Thank you. Now, let us use just one exhibit. Just one exhibit. In relation to just one exhibit, test bullet, let's say it's a test bullet or it's a scene bullet, the bullet that is picked up from the scene. In relation to that exhibit, what is the meaning of this concept, same relative position in relation to that one exhibit? Not as when you're comparing two exhibits.
Manje ke uma sikhuluma ke ngentambo eyodwa noma yiphi noma into etholakala esigamekweni noma ileyo otesta ngayo masikhuluma nge-same relative position usukhuluma ngayo.
My lord, you cannot speak of same relative position in one item. It cannot be. If it's same relative position, when you're comparing two items, it must be the same position from this one and this one. So if you're talking of one exhibit, what do you mean by the same relative position? You are relating it to which exhibit or to which part of it? Because we are talking about one item.
Angeke ukwazi ukuthi izinto ziyafana kuwukuthi ukhuluma ngento eyodwa.
Say, is it not so that when you are using two exhibits, the purpose why you're doing that is to compare if there are similarities between the same exhibits, not so?
Uma uthole imibukiso emibili angithi ke kufanele ukuthi uqhathanise ukuthi ubone ukuthi khona ukufana nani akunjalo.
Now you are comparing two different items, the similarities on those two different items. Then you must be on the same relative position on both three, so that you can see if they match.
Manje uma uqhathanisa izinto ezimbili ufanele uzame ukubuka endaweni engathi cishe kube indawo efanayo ukuze ubone ukuthi ziyafana yini lezi.
Thank you. I don't dispute that, not even with a cent. Now let us start here. You receive a scene bullet, not so?
Asiqale lana ke sithi uthole intambo etholakala esigamekweni.
That's correct.
Yebo njalo.
Now, under your microscope, you put that scene bullet under your microscope, and then you determine that there are indeed some striations in that bullet, not so, on the grooves, as you say, not so?
Uthatha le ntambo ifaka phakathi kwe-microscope ukuthi ubone ukuthi kukhona yini la ekudobeke khona la kunemisele khona entambini leyo akunjalo.
That's correct.
Yebo kunjalo.
And let us assume at this point, you haven't received a tool which that scene exhibit could have been, or a gun or a firearm that scene exhibit could have been fired from. It's only the scene bullet. You've not received any firearm, not so?
Manje uma ungakayitholi ke isibhamu engacatshengela ukuthi ngabe kuyisona esadubula le nhlamvu samu usaphethe sikhuluma ukuthi manje usaphethe inhlamvu eyodwa nje etholakele endaweni yesigameko.
I hear that, man.
Yeah, no, this process is very necessary. We're trying to assist the court. We're simplifying it with a view to assist the court. Now, you put that scene exhibit under microscope and you're able to identify certain marks.
Bathi manje uthatha ke le nhlamvu oyithole endaweni yesigameko sifake ngaphansi kwe microscope manje ubusuyabona ukuthi kukhona izimpawu ezikhona la.
Do you follow?
Ngizwisisa?
Yes, I follow that, my lord.
Ngiyalandela.
And because of that identification, is it not so that would you then mark those, would you then continue to mark those marks which you have identified under microscope, not so, from the scene bullet?
Manje ke ukuthi ke wena uzohamba ulokhu ubhala ukuthi iziphi naziphi izimpawu lezo uzitholile kuleyo nhlamvu. Muyibuka ngaphansi kwe-microscope kunjalo.
My lord, I don't understand to mark them. To mark them, you can't mark them not knowing that what type of marks it can be unique markings, but are you comparing them with anything?
Athi haya uma ngazwisisa ukuthi uzobe ngizimakelani ngoba nje ngenzeka ukuthi impawu nje ezikhona ezingafani nezinye inhlamvu. Kodwa ungasikhathanisa ngibona ukuthi uzobe uzimakelani.
You say you're not yet at the position where you need to compare. We're not yet there. You're still now having one exhibit. You just want to identify that exhibit if it has got marks. Do you understand?
Asikafiki esikhathini sokuqhathanisa sithi usathole inhlamvu eyodwa usafuna ukubona nje kuphela ukuthi inazo yini izimpawu ezikhona lapha kuyona.
Do you understand?
Ngizwisisa?
I understand there will be grooves on those and then there will be marks on the grooves.
Yes.
Yebo kuzoba khona imsele khona lapha kuleyo nhlamvu futhi ke nezimpawu ezithile zizobe zikhona nazo khona lapha kuleyo nhlamvu.
Now, some days later, an investigating officer then brings a firearm and requests you to do a matching.
Manje emva kwaloko ke sekufika ke iphoyisa liphethe isibhamu bese ke licela ukuthi awuzameke nje uqhathanisa naleso sibhamu.
Now, is it not so that from that firearm then you will proceed to fire test bullets, not so?
Kusho ukuthi ke ngaleso sikhathi ke ukusithatha lesi sibhamu kuhamba yodubula ke inhlamvu ozohlola ngaso akunjalo.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
Then from those test bullets, you will then go and retrieve the scene bullet that you had worked on before and compare that scene bullet with the test bullets, not so. Now, this is comparison.
Emva kwaloko ahamba yothatha le nhlamvu le ephuma isigamekweni bese uzoyiqhathanisa nalezi inhlamvu ozidubulile kanjalo.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
Thank you. Now back to my question.